Right, well, back to the more YouTube channel. It's Chris back with my rant stroke thought of the day. And surprise, surprise, it's all about what's going on with the Newcastle United manager. That's right, Eddie Howe. He's lost a lot of confidence. He's lost a lot of faith from this fan base. And I think the moment is really coming to a head where they have to have a big question asked upstairs in the boardroom. Is Eddie Howe the man to take us to the next level as a football club? And it pains me to say it, it really does. I've never disliked Eddie Howe. I really like him as a bloke. I think he's articulate, intelligent. You know, he's everything the previous incumbent in that job wasn't, to be fair, you know, in the shape of Steve Bruce, well, you know. But I just think every manager comes to a point where they've kind of done everything that they feel they are capable of doing, or they just don't have any ideas. They don't have any plan Bs or Cs. You know, if a manager struggles to evolve and struggles to move along with evolution and try to better themselves and change shape and change personnel like Eddie Howe has done over the last 3 years, then inevitably this is what happens. It comes back and it gets you. There's been more successful managers than Eddie Howe who have won trophies, you know, managers like Claudio Ranieri and Brendan Rodgers at Leicester. Whether you think they're bigger managers than Eddie Howe or not, they won silverware. Eddie hasn't, never has. You know, people like Conte, people like Jose Mourinho, you know, they all come to a point in their career, Ancelotti as well, where no matter what they've done, no matter what they've won in the past, you know, are they doing it right now in the present? And what does it mean for the future? And then those managers inevitably let go by what you would call big clubs. Now, Newcastle United seem to want to be a big club, and a lot of our fans, when you talk to them, think we are a big club. But there's this weird stigma within the fan base that really has kind of been growing ever since the takeover, really. And you know, I've made fun of the TikToks about it, you know, the trust the process stuff and all that. But it really is bordering on like a cult. It really is, you know, where criticising the manager is you know, sacrosanct. You can't do it. You're vilified. You're lambasted. You're shirked out of the fan base, you know, because you dare to question this manager and whether he's the man to take us forward. But 2 wins in the last 11 games goes to show you that what Eddie Howe is trying right now isn't working anymore. And for me, I think that the time has come to move Eddie Howe on as a manager. Thank him for everything he's done in the past. There's no doubt whatever he's done previously, you have to give him respect for, you have to admire, you have to give thanks for, because without him we would have been relegated. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. You know, it remains to be seen if, you know, Unai Emery, if he came in, would have done a better job than Howe. We'll never know, because it's never going to happen. We can't go back in time and change things. But you can't affect the past, but you can affect the future. And I think that's where Newcastle are right now. They have to make a decision, because this manager, when he came in, he was the right man for the football club, because we were in a relegation fight. We had to stay in the league, and that's what Eddie Howe was brought in to do, and that's what he did, and he did it very well. The season after, where we qualified for the Champions League, kind of changed everything, because with Eddie being a young manager, you thought, right, has he gone up levels? Has he changed? You know, and then he finished 7th the season after. We didn't get European football, kind of by a technicality. So the 3 seasons, by and large, you say has been good, but we haven't been good as a football club for a long time now. And a lot of the same problems all stem from issues with the manager. Now, a lot of people are blaming PSR and FFP for the fact that Eddie Howe, you know, can't add to the squad. But just pause that for a second. Again, this is very much, you know, tainted with you know, many litres of Kool-Aid by people. Eddie Howe has added to the squad. The squad has been added. It's been increased in quality. You know, you've had, you know, obviously Trippier, Bruno, Byrne, Isak, you know, all coming in, Botman. Yes, they went into the first team because the first team was so, you know, bereft of quality then that they had to come in. But since then, he's had Sandro Tonali, he's had Harvey Barnes, and he can't use them. He's had Will Asula. He doesn't want to use them, whether you think Asula's good or not. He hasn't used them. Even when we needed a striker, he shoehorned a winger in that position. That just hasn't worked. And that's on the manager. That's not on PSR, FFP, or the board, Mitchell, or even Staveley before that. That's on the manager. That's the stubbornness of the manager and his unwillingness to ditch his loyal lieutenants to possibly put a better player that's suited in that position in there. And he's been given a free pass by loads of the fan base. He's been given a free pass by a lot of the journalists as well, with the exception of 1 or 2. And nobody asks him the questions. Nobody asks him the difficult questions. The question right now, where's Louis Miley? You know, Louis Miley's not even in the matchday squads, but Matt Targett is. I mean, what's Matt Targett going to do to impact the game? I mean, when Matt Targett's been on the bench, he hasn't even been on the pitch. I don't even think I've seen him warming up. You know, it's really strange that Eddie Howe has this loyalty to these players. And if you track back a little bit there, so over the last few years, Newcastle have gone from relegation fodder to Champions League clubs to, you know, top 6, top 4 hopefuls. And the squad, is by and large, hasn't really changed. Eddie Howe has asked for new contracts for players that you would deem on the journey of evolution you maybe would have, kind of moved away from and thanked them for what they did. The shapes of Sean Longstaff, the Mickey Almirons, the Callum Wilsons, the Murphys, all of the kind of pre-takeover players. You would have thought by now Newcastle would have moved them on, thanked them for everything they've done and improved on their positions. But we haven't done that as a club. And I think a large reason for that is Howe's over loyalty to these players. I mean, yes, he got a tune out of them. There's no doubt about it. Certainly the shape of Joe Linton. I mean, no one thought he was going to get out with Joe Linton what he got out of him. But, whether there's a little bit of Eddie Howe's arrogance in there, thinking that he can still get these players up to a level that's way beyond their capabilities, I don't know. But he can't. And that's the reason why the club is struggling. You look at the back four. The back four is aged out. I mean, when we signed these guys, they were in their 30s. An exception of Cher, who's obviously been here a long time. But, when we signed Trippier, he was in his 30s. Byrne was approaching his 30s. These players are getting on. Nick Pope in his 30s. I know that's young for a keeper, but Pope's had bad injuries for a goalkeeper, and it's starting to show as well. There's no contingency plan for the goalkeeper. The keepers that were brought in is like a ragtag bunch of raggy dolls that nobody else wanted. I mean, Karius, is looking like he's going to retire because he can't get a club. And what does that tell you about where Newcastle United are as a football club right now? And what does it mean, with regards to the manager? Has the manager not got the pulling power to attract big players? Never mind PSR and FFP. Do those players don't want to come and play? They're asking Eddie Howe, not Eddie Howe. And maybe there's an element of that as well. If this football club wants to bring in the kind of players who can get you there, maybe you have to have a manager a little bit more of a name, a little bit more of a reputation around the world. I've seen many fans turn their nose up at Jose Mourinho as a possible replacement for Eddie. And whilst I think there is reasons for that, Jose is very combative, and I'm not sure he'd work in the new structure with Paul Mitchell, mind you, but you never know until you try. But Jose's a name, and Jose's a winner, and Jose wins things. And that's something Eddie Howe isn't doing right now. He's not winning games. He's not winning trophies. Yes, he took us to a cup final, but we bottled it against a really average Man United team that we really should have beat. If Newcastle just showed up like they could have showed up, we'd have beat Man United, and he would have had a Carabao Cup under his belt. And it would really argue to say get rid of him then because he won a trophy, the first one in 60 odd years, but he didn't. Bottled it. The players' mentality is very questionable right now. They overperform in big games. Even Shearer pulled him out the other day. No point in performing in big games when you can't perform against the rest. Is that player arrogance? Is that complacency by the management team not getting a foot up their arse? Or are they trying to put a foot up their arse, but these players aren't listening anymore because they think they're bigger than the manager? Maybe that's an element there. When you progress as a club and you bring in big players, those big players can sometimes look at a manager and sneer and go, what's he done in his career? Bournemouth, what's he done, And there might be an element of that in the club as well, as much as they don't want to admit it. I remember Manchester United when David Moyes came in, the arrogance the likes of Ferdinand and Evra turned their nose up at Moyes because he'd just been with plucky little Everton and he hadn't won anything, with regards to the guy he'd replaced in Sir Alex Ferguson. And there may be an element of that with the playing staff right now. They're not kind of being vocal about it out in the public, but maybe behind closed doors, they're starting to wonder whether this guy is just a small club manager. And you see the players that are being linked to us, like some Bournemouth players and stuff like that. And, for me, it's just not good enough to take the club to the next level. And, Eddie Howe should have sold these players when they were marketable value. When we qualified for the Champions League, you could have sold Wilson, you could have sold Almiron, you could have got 25 million each for them or 30 million each for them because they were Champions League players, and we could have reinvested that in the squad. We may not have been in a position where we had to let go of Elliot Anderson and Yankuba Minton. We could have a freshness in the squad, to get away from the staleness that we have right now, and players with real limited ability that have reached their peak and they're just on their way down now. He didn't do that. He wanted new contracts for them, and that's on the manager. That's nothing to do with the financial footings or nothing to do with the board. That's the manager who's driving for contracts for these players. You look at Fabian Schär this season. He shouldn't have went to the Euros. He's finished now. He's took a year or two out of his Premier League career. The Premier League gets quicker every year. Even the teams in the bottom three have got pace and guile and skill in their teams because they scout around the globe. And Fabian Schär, he's not getting away with the things he used to get away with. He's overplaying it. Them long balls are scouted. Burns a hard-working defender, but he's not. Is he a top six defender? I just don't know. I wouldn't say that he is. So Sven Botman walks straight back into that team when he comes in, but we should have got a right-sided centre-half to play alongside Botman when he's fit. Eddie only wanted one player. All these people saying he wasn't backed in the summer. He was backed, but he only wanted one player. Why was there not a plan B or a plan C? Mitchell almost stopped short of saying the manager only wanted one player and he wouldn't listen to anything else. So, there is real issues here, but, in closing for this, for me, Newcastle United are on this journey. We're supposed to be on this journey of evolution where the PIF want to be number one. And along that way, you have to make some tough decisions sometimes. And it pains me to say it, but I think Newcastle are at that stage right now where Eddie Howe, who's done a brilliant job for Newcastle in the last 3 years, has taken this club as far as it can go. He's taken the players as far as they can go. It's time to upgrade. It's time to move to the next level. Who that is, I don't know. There's a lot of good managers out of work. Allegri for one, Terzic for two. Do they try and poach someone like Jose from the Fenerbahce job? Regardless of what you think about him, he's a winner and he's got pedigree and he's got that name as well to help with the commercialisms as well on and off the pitch and attract the big players and his in-game management as well. Jose knows how to win games regardless of what you think. But this over-affection for Eddie Howe, is crazy. I mean, people talk about the Champions League qualifications. Pardew finished fifth, but you don't put Pardew in elite management. And yes, you can say you only had Vernon Anita signed for him in that summer. That's why his team fell to pieces, But Eddie Howe has got a real cult-like following within the fan base. But I think he's losing a lot of credit with the fan base as the weeks go by, the way the performances are going. He won't change the tactics. He's not picking the right personnel. When you're dropping someone like Louis Miley from this matchday squad in shape of a left back that hasn't played in how long, or Sean Longstaff starting games over Sandro Tonali, or even Louis Miley in that regard, when you need to unlock defences with clever passes and use of the ball, and you're just putting the lad in that runs all day in the shape of Sean, or Willock as well. Willock's injury prone. These are the players we should have moved on, cashed in on, and upgraded the squad. But Eddie didn't because of his over loyalty to the players. I've always said it's going to be his downfall, and I really feel like we're in the end game now of Eddie Howe with Newcastle United. And I don't think he's got long left. I think if we were to lose against Leicester and go out the cup, that could be all she wrote. I don't know whether the board or the PIF still have the confidence in the manager to give him money in January to do something about it. January is a huge litmus test for this football club, whether it's Eddie or somebody else. But I think the time has come now to roll the dice, because I don't think we're getting European football at all if we stick with this manager. We need a better manager. We need someone with pedigree, someone with in-game management, somebody with tactical nous, somebody who's a winner. There is managers out there available, and Newcastle could get them, and I still think they could get a good tune out of a lot of the players that are in this squad who have gone off the boil in terms of that new manager bouncing when it comes to the summer. Start to build again. But let us know in the comments below what you guys think, whether you're done with Eddie. Do you think time's up? I think it is time to move on. Thank him for everything that he's done. We'll be forever grateful. But just like City before that, we have to evolve. This is our kind of Mancini sliding door moment, and we have to evolve and get a better manager. Me and Mark will be back talking about this on What's Going On Monday, 9:30. Make sure you tune in for that, guys. Like and subscribe. Keep it evermore. Have a belter of a weekend, and we'll catch you later. Cheers.